listening to the DeCesare Group Podcast. Welcome back. I'm your host, Jim DeCesare, and I'm glad you're here. My guest today is Dr. Gary Houchens, Chairman of the Board of Directors for Chesterton Academy, a new Catholic high school opening in South Central Kentucky in August. Dr. Houchens is a professor and director of the Educational Leadership Doctoral Program at Western Kentucky University. A lifelong educator, he served as a teacher, school administrator in both public and private schools, and professor. He previously served on the Kentucky Board of Education. Gary writes frequently on education and related policy topics. Here's my conversation with Dr. Gary Houchens. Dr. Gary Houchens, welcome to the DeCesare Group Podcast.
Thanks, Jim. Great to be here.
It feels like I have family in the room.
Yeah, it is.
It's good to see you. So we're talking about the Chesterton Academy. Is it the Chesterton Academy or just Chesterton Academy?
You can say either thing, but we usually say the Chesterton Academy of Bowling Green.
The Chesterton Academy of Bowling Green. And that's hard to say. There's a lot of T's in there.
They are indeed, yes.
So why is a high school like this so important for South Central Kentucky?
Yeah, so Bowling Green being the third largest city in the state of Kentucky now has two of the largest Catholic parishes in the Diocese of Owensboro. It's a rapidly growing community with a vibrant educational landscape. But what it doesn't have right now is a Catholic high school, and hasn't for nearly 60 years. A lot of people know we have St. Joseph's School here in Bowling Green, which for more than a century has served students in pre-K through 8th grade. What a lot of people don't know is that St. Joe's used to also serve high school students.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they. I think the last graduating class was around 1967, okay. And then since then we've not had a Catholic high school option, and that despite the fact that Bowling Green's Catholic population and overall population has continued to grow, and so over the years, there's been a lot of interest, a lot of demand for another high school option for our community, something that's faith-based, something that's rooted in the Catholic educational tradition, and so now we're trying to meet that need.
And it's not uncommon for those parents that want their kids to have a Catholic high school education. They will bus them to other places.
Absolutely. We've had a lot of families over the years sending their students all the way down to Hendersonville, Tennessee. We've got a family now who's going all the way to Owensboro to take advantage of that kind of opportunity there. So, Bowling Green deserves that same kind of option.
Yeah, and so that's what the Chesterton Academy of Bowling Green will fill that void.
That's right.
So, there has been a lot of increase in private schools over the years. I notice Foundation Christian Academy has just done a major expansion out there. So there's parents are looking for alternatives. Not that there's anything wrong with our public education here in South Central Kentucky. I mean, Bowling Green and Warren County schools do a fine job, but talk about the increase in private school education.
Yeah, we're really blessed in this community to have so many great schooling options for our students. And, personally, I'm a product of public education. I've spent most of my career either directly or indirectly in service of public schools. But one of the things that I've learned in nearly 30 years in this business is that no school, no matter how good it is, can be the perfect fit for every student. The needs of students are just too varied. The interests of families and their aspirations for what they want their child to experience at school are too varied. And so every community that has a market big enough to sustain it should have a lot of options. And those options should be available to all families. And so I think part of what you're seeing is just that interest in providing schooling that meets the needs of individual students. And that's driving, I think, a lot of growth in private education and in alternate public school options, like the Warren County Public Schools' new Impact School, I think is an example of how, I think that's an example of how we're looking to try to diversify the educational options in our community.
Yeah. And, and of course that leads to, we've had discussions in Kentucky for 20 plus years about charter schools. Of course, we have a lot of homeschool students in the region. And the Supreme Court just recently ruled about the funding of charter schools. Talk a little bit about that.
That charter school law would not have really affected the Chesterton Academy because we're a private school, and charters are, despite what some of their opponents try to suggest, they're public schools, so they're different. But and this decision on the part of the state Supreme Court was really part of a pattern of decisions that the courts have made to, in my opinion, unfairly interpret the state constitution in ways that would prohibit school choice policies that exist and benefit students in nearly every other state in the United States from being here in Kentucky. And I think that's quite unfortunate because we were just talking about the need for a diverse array of education options, and the courts have really tried to put a stop to that. But we do see a sliver of hope right now. There is a new federal scholarship tax credit program. Kentucky has the opportunity to opt into that. It's House Bill 1 that just recently passed the Kentucky House. It'll go on to the Senate for consideration. That bill will give an opportunity for privately funded scholarships to benefit students with a variety of different educational needs, including scholarships for private school tuition. And so that will help us in our mission at Chesterton serve the diversity of families that we hope to serve.
And I don't think most people realize, but our Constitution in Kentucky, there are a few things in there that aren't typical for constitutions, and education is one of them, where there's a language in our Constitution about public education, and also our tax code. And I deal with that on my economic development role, where our tax code is kind of locked into our Constitution. So to change some of our taxes, we have to have a constitutional amendment, just like it would be to change some of our education laws because of the Constitution.
Yeah. It's Kentucky faces some special barriers that other states don't.
Yeah. Let's talk about the demand for a school like Chesterton Academy and other schools. What are your expectations for growth? Talk about where you're at right now and where you're planning to go.
Yeah, so the Chesterton model is designed to be small. It is designed to start small and really kind of remain small. The most well-established Chesterton schools. I should mention that the Chesterton Academy is a part of a network of schools, the Chesterton Schools Network. That's a family of more than 70 Catholic high schools using this unique classical curriculum. They exist all over the United States and increasingly in other parts of the world. And so we're a part of that network. And what was your original question? Sorry.
What are your expectations to get started, and then your expectations for growth?
Yeah. So typically Chesterton Academies start pretty small, and then they grow out from there. And so we're only serving 9th and 10th graders in the first year.
Okay.
We'll probably have limited athletic opportunities in that first year, but after that, we expect to be able to be a part of KHSAA and grow and compete in that regard. So we have modest expectations. We're going to have that 9th and 10th grade class is going to be our founding class, and then we'll grow out from there. The most well-established Chesterton schools serve in the neighborhood of 150 to 180 students. I don't know in a community the size of South Central Kentucky we'll ever get that big, but we certainly think that it's quite possible for us to serve 80 or 100 students by the time we have all 4 grades 3 years from now.
So with a school like this, so you're starting in August of this year. You'll have 9th and 10th graders. Next year, they'll be sophomores and juniors. And so will juniors allowed to come in next year, or does everybody need to start as a freshman?
Yeah, they don't have to start with us. Students can come in partway through. So naturally, the sophomores we're serving next year will become juniors, but we'll also be open to serving juniors who may be transferring at that time.
And so talk about the curriculum, because I've looked at the website, and it's not, like you would get anywhere else, because it's Latin-based.
That's right.
A lot of Latin. So if someone comes in, there's going to be maybe a learning curve, possibly.
It's possible, yeah. One of the most exciting things that I've seen happening in K-12 education is this revival of classical learning. And it's about this return to pre-progressive methods of education, where there's a heavy emphasis on reading and studying the great works of literature and art and the great ideas that have sort of shaped Western civilization. So a heavy focus on the liberal arts as well as on science and math, but also with this emphasis on language study. And so part of that is that students will study at least 2 years of Latin as a part of the Chesterton Academy. A lot of people are puzzled by that. They say, hey, nobody speaks Latin anymore. Why are you doing that? But the truth is that we're speaking Latin right now. More than 50% of all the words in the English language have Latin origins. So when students study Latin, they're building their English vocabulary. And of course, Latin also provides the professional language of a lot of different professions like law and medicine and science. And so that study of Latin gives students a strong foundation for academic study in a wide variety of areas. And then they'll also be able to study other foreign languages along the way.
Gotcha. And, speaking of and talking about the philosophy, or I mean, you're talking about Plato and Socrates,
right?
The great philosophers of the day who, and when you read their writings, they really were the founders of a lot of the scientific method that we use today, talking about the language and other things that we take advantage of each and every day, but not everybody's reading that stuff.
That's right. Yeah, and in fact, what we're seeing in a lot of schools is students are reading less and less. Not only are they not reading the classics, but when they do, they're reading excerpts. They're reading nonfiction articles, and there's not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's a part of our intellectual and cultural heritage to understand those great ideas and those great works of literature that brought us to where we are. If we're going to preserve democracy and freedom as we know it, then we have to understand where those ideas came from.
I like to tell people, like whenever I'm at any of the capitals, you always see this little emblem that looks like a square with lines in it. It's from the Greek culture, but it means democracy. Most people don't realize that little emblem is a symbol,
right? And
it's in every state capital, and it's in our U.S. Capitol, and I mean it is embedded in our government to some extent. I would be remiss if I didn't do a shameless plug for the book club that I'm in. We're called the Book Club, and
original name.
Yeah, because we're that creative. But we often talk, and we read a book a month, and we talk about readers are leaders. And you're right when you say there's not enough people reading anymore, but I've noticed recently, and I read a story about this, that book clubs are on the rise.
Yeah.
So, that's a good thing.
That's right.
Book sales are up.
Yeah, people are recognizing a need to kind of return to reading and intellectual formation.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. How do you get into the Chesterton Academy?
Yeah.
Do you have to be Catholic? That's
a great question. No, you don't, as a matter of fact. And, we know from the experience of St. Joseph's School here in Bowling Green that a large number of non-Catholic families are drawn to Catholic schools for the faith formation component, for sure, but also for that safe learning environment and the rigorous academics. And so a sizable portion of the students at St. Joseph's School are non-Catholic, and we expect that we will appeal to a lot of non-Catholic families as well who are looking for that kind of small, faith-based, academically rich environment.
Well, that's good to know. And then obviously it's not free.
That's right. Yeah, it's not free, but part of the Chesterton model is to make tuition affordable and accessible for all families. Okay. And so our basic starting tuition next year will be $7,200 a year, which is just slightly more than the current student tuition at St. Joseph's School. And if you know anything about private high school tuition, that's a really great deal, because in a lot of communities, it's not unusual to spend $15,000, $20,000 or more dollars a year on high school tuition. But beyond that, we also are committed to making financial aid available for any family that needs it. And we've had some generous donors who've already come forward to provide that scholarship money. And so we don't want money to be a barrier to any family who wants this for their children.
That's fantastic. And I know you've been an advocate about school funding for many years, and whether it's public dollars going towards private schools, which, we all pay in.
Right. That's right.
And, my education friends get mad at me sometimes when I say, well, yeah, the money should follow the kid.
Right, right.
But,
yes.
That's a debate for the courts, I guess.
That's right.
And then how does someone apply?
Right. So you need to check out our website. It's chestertonbgcac.com. ChestertonBGKY.com, ChestertonBGKY.com.
And I'll have the link in the show notes.
Great, terrific. And we're also on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, so that's a great way to follow what's going on with our opening plans. But the admissions portal is open. We are currently actively reviewing applicants for 9th and 10th grade for next year, and really looking forward to having more people get involved.
And when you say, are you talking about in August next year?
That's right.
So,
yeah.
And you already have some that have been accepted.
We do, yeah. We have our first batch of applicants, and we're planning some events. We hope to have those founding students as a part of some of our upcoming events.
Fantastic. All right, so let's talk a little bit about GK Chesterton.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked, because lots of people are unfamiliar with who that is, and of course that's the namesake of the school and of the network that we are a part of. G.K. Chesterton was from England. He lived in the early part of the 20th century. He was a writer, essayist, a journalist. He wrote in all sorts of genres. A lot of people probably know him as the author of the Father Brown murder mysteries. If you ever see that on PBS, that's G.K. Chesterton. But he was also a convert to the Catholic faith, very passionate in making his argument for why Christianity is the solution to what ails the modern heart. And he was able to do that with a great deal of wit and wisdom and compassionate engagement with his opponents. And so he provides a great model, I think, for young people who are trying to form their intellect and their faith in a joyful kind of way. And that's sort of the tagline for our school, is that we're a joyfully Catholic classical high school in the spirit of G.K. Chesterton.
That's fantastic. So, speaking of Chesterton, and talk about what is the hallmark of a Chesterton education? I know we talked about Latin, but talk about the curriculum. What are students going to be exposed to, particular classes?
Right. So one of the things that distinguishes Chesterton is this emphasis that our primary purpose is not actually the intellectual formation of students. It is the spiritual formation of students. So this school exists to help form young men and women for lives of virtue and faithful discipleship to Christ. The academic program is in service of that larger goal. And so we intend for faith formation opportunities to be the heart of our school and a daily part of the students' activities. But then the academic and extracurricular programs are sort of built around that. And so that program is rigorous, but it's also appropriate for all students of all kinds of academic backgrounds. So students are going to study, the basics of literature, history, science, and math, but they're also going to study every year theology and philosophy. There's a big emphasis on the fine arts and the performing arts, so students will have music and art every year. They'll have drama at least 3 of the years of their high school experience. And then there'll be an extracurricular program that surrounds all of that, where students can participate in athletics and club activities, all of which are really meant to help teach them virtue, discipline, patience, teamwork, all of those interior dispositions that are the ultimate goal of the school.
So, knowing that there are 70 other campuses around the U.S., what kind of college opportunities, on average, have those students seen when they leave a Chesterton Academy and go on for post-secondary education?
Yeah, so that is a great part of the Chesterton story, is the great success of students who have left the Chesterton Academies and gone on to a wide variety of college and career opportunities. But among the most prestigious colleges in the country, the Chesterton graduates have gone on and been successful, as well as in careers in the military and in religious vocations. And so part of the way the Chesterton Network facilitates that is that we have a special relationship with Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio, generally regarded as one of the top Catholic colleges in the country. And it's essentially...
It's not Notre Dame?
It's not Notre Dame. No, we love Notre Dame too, but our relationship...
I haven't heard about this football team at this other...
No, Franciscan's not known for that. But we have a relationship with Franciscan Franciscan, which is essentially for dual credit. So Chesterton students in their junior and senior year can take courses for college credit with Franciscan, and then those are transferable to virtually any other college or university in the United States. So our students get a leg up on the college experience through this curriculum and the college credit they can earn for it.
And that's not unusual for students in public education to get those dual credit as well. So you're providing similar opportunities for your juniors and seniors to, get ready for college and be prepared to go in there without having 0 credits, to have a few.
That's right. Yeah, and the thing is about this small class size and this intimate learning environment is that our teachers are going to know every student. As well as you can possibly know a student. They'll know their strengths, they'll know their growth areas, they'll be able to mentor them and prepare them for the college experience in a way that is just very difficult to do in a larger school environment.
And the career opportunities are
endless.
Endless. Open. You mentioned military to religious backgrounds, but and we talked about law earlier.
Right.
So obviously there, a lot of Latin in law because a lot of those words we hear every day, we're going, what do they mean? Well, it's Latin.
It is Latin. Yep, for sure.
So tell us more about where the Chesterton Academy is going to be.
Yeah, great. And, so that's been a key to our opening because we kind of settled on this model a few years ago, and the real challenge was where are we going to locate this thing? Well, that problem was solved for us recently when St. Joseph Church began construction of a new pastoral life center. It's called the DeVries Pastoral Center. It's on the campus of St. Joseph Church. And the pastor there, Father Ryan Harpole, approached us and said, hey, we're going to have classrooms in this building for religious education purposes, but during the day, they're going to be empty. Let's use that as our incubator space for this school. And so that's what we're going to do. And it's a perfect, even though it wasn't designed specifically to be a school, architecturally it's got a perfect setup for a small micro school startup. There are 4 classrooms there, an activity space, and, Lord willing, we will outgrow that space in due time. But in terms of having a place to begin, we'll be right there on the campus of St. Joseph Church with access to the church, with ability to partner with the existing St. Joseph School for various activities and use of facilities. And so we're really grateful to have that opportunity.
Will there be any crossover with St. Joe, the existing school, like using some of their educators to work with the high school students?
I don't know if initially that's a real possibility because, the teachers are kind of operating at maximum capacity over at St. Joe's right now. But as St. Joseph's enrollment could grow in the future, then there's a real possibility for us to be able to partner in the long term. At least initially, we expect to have our own staff of full and part-time teachers who will be serving our students.
And talking about future growth, using this existing space for your initial and I think I know you well enough. What are the plans for after this space?
Right. So, just as soon as we're open and operating, that becomes the next part of our strategic planning is identifying a future location and making sure we can secure that, prepare it for learning, and making sure that we have the opportunity for the religious formation that we need to have. A part of the Chesterton structure is, if possible, to offer daily Mass to students, or if not Mass, then other prayer liturgy opportunities, and we want to be able to do that in an appropriate chapel. So that's all part of what we have to think about as we plan for future facilities.
Fantastic. All right, before we let you go, let's talk about the leadership of this organization. Obviously, there's a board of directors. You have a headmaster.
We do. We're so happy to have a headmaster now. Dr. Tom Stewart was recently announced as our founding headmaster. Tom has been a part of this founding team from the beginning. He's been involved in conversations about this for nearly a decade. He is a career educator, more than 32 years of experience, and he'll soon be retiring from his leadership role with the Kentucky Department of Education. And so he is is going to be the founding headmaster of the school, and then he is actively working with us right now to prepare for recruiting and hiring teachers.
Right.
So that's going to be the next big part of our adventure.
And talk about your board of directors, because obviously you're the chairman of the board, but it's not just you and Tom.
Definitely not. No, we've got a great team. There's an 11-member board of directors. They are individuals who represent both St. Joseph and Holy Spirit parishes. They have a variety of professional backgrounds that help enrich our conversations. We've got folks who are educators, people who are parents of current students. We have folks who have backgrounds in marketing and business and finance, and so they're able to bring all of their knowledge and expertise to helping us launch this endeavor.
And how long have you all been working on this?
Yeah, well, the first conversation started nearly 10 years ago.
Okay.
When Father Andy Garner was the pastor at St. Joseph. He was the first one to kind of assemble a task force to say, can we do this? And so over those years, we have done market research, we've done parent surveys just to sort of verify, yes, there is a demand for this, and to sort of lay the groundwork for all of that. So where we're at right now is really to the glory of God. It is the fruit of so much prayer and hard work and the dreams and aspirations of parents for a generation or more coming true.
And we know, based on the BG 2050 initiative last year, that, Warren County specifically is going to grow by the size of another city of Bowling Green,
right?
Between now and 2050. So we're going to have huge growth here in this region, and we're seeing it every day. I talk about the blue plates I see all the time in the neighborhoods, but this is just another step in providing those opportunities for those people, because when from wearing my economic development hat, when we attract industries and businesses and whatnot here, they look at all these things. They look at the educational opportunities. They look at the arts and culture opportunities in restaurants and shopping, and all those things matter. And this will be another another arrow in the quiver that will help attract more people to this region.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for sure.
All right, tell us about the website one more time.
Yeah, it's ChestertonBGKY.com.
And it's got everything you need to know on there about how you can find out more about the Chesterton Academy, and enroll, and
all the stuff is there. Yeah, and we're looking forward to we're doing a website update that's coming, that may even be out by the time this airs. So we're eager for people to come check us out.
All right. Well, Dr. Gary Houchens, thanks for being on the DeCesare Group Podcast.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks again to Dr. Gary Houchens, Board Chair of Chesterton Academy, for joining us this week on the DeCesare Group Podcast, and thank you for checking us out as well. Hey, if you like what you hear, please share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a review and share your feedback with us as well. You can also follow the DeCesare Group across all of our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. You can even subscribe to our weekly newsletter, Soki Economic Development and Business News, by going to our website, thedecesaregroup.com. The DeCesare Group Podcast is produced by the DeCesare Group, a public relations and consulting firm based in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Our engineer is the Professor of Audio, Justin DeCesare, with content contributions from Brooke Mattingly. The DeCesare Group Podcast is researched by Amy DeCesare. I'm Jim DeCesare, inviting you to join us again next time for the DeCesare Group Podcast.